Hello and thank you for joining us on CBS 8 Plus. I'm Jesse Pagan. Here at CBS 8, we're working for you, getting to the bottom of problems you've asked about, and we're looking for solutions. We start in the South Bay, where homeowners say they're worried about overgrown brush around their neighborhood. This comes after our coverage on fire risks posed by overgrown brush and eucalyptus trees in Tierra Santa. CBS 8 is working for you. Our Brian White went to Chula Vista to find out who's responsible for the brush and what's being done about it.
All this is flammable material, and this just didn't grow overnight. This takes a while, so it's neglected.
Homeowner and Vietnam veteran Daniel Teague says there's plenty of overgrown trees and vegetation that pose a fire risk to nearby homes here in the Otay Ranch 5 community.
Those trees need to be trimmed. If they were to get ignited, the embers from those trees are heading right to the homes here. And as you can see underneath, there's a sofa down there, and they use this as a dumping ground.
Daniel says it's the HOA's responsibility to maintain these areas. In fact, a few years ago, he served as a board member himself and brought these issues up then.
They never get addressed. There's always excuses. It's a double standard. We as homeowners are required to maintain our property, and the HOA, the association, it's not maintaining theirs.
We drove around the community of more than 1,300 homes, and he pointed out several areas he says are not fire safe. We saw a landscaping crew hard at work trimming these eucalyptus trees, but across the street there was plenty of overgrowth near these homes.
That brush up there sits right where you can see the roof of the house there. That brush is sitting right behind there. Dry brush and everything else up there.
So I called the property management company.
Thank you for calling Walters Management.
And left a message for the regional manager.
My name is Brian White. I'm a reporter for CBS 8.
I also emailed the HOA board president. He didn't send an official statement, but he alluded to the fact that he believes the association is maintaining the property up to city and county requirements. Regardless, Daniel thinks more proactive brush management needs to be done.
I think we're playing Russian roulette. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years now, and it's just not happening, and we're going to wait till something bad happens, and then we're really going to have some problems here.
In Chula Vista, I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
Weeds are also growing wild on public property throughout the county, so we worked for you to find out who's responsible for clearing it all out. It turns out the city's brush management program is responsible. However, it's lacking right now, and the main problem is confusion. We're told one of 10 city departments could be responsible for clearing vegetation depending on where it's located. A San Carlos resident told us it's a problem.
It's not green anymore. It's dying, and it's a fire hazard. Several neighbors came together in one morning, and we just trimmed the heck out of it as best we could.
CBS 8 found out Parks and Recreation, Transportation, and Public Utilities are all responsible for cutting vegetation in high fire risk areas. We're also told San Diego Fire Rescue doesn't currently monitor overgrowth on public lands, but the city wants to change that. Now to Scripps Ranch, where there are concerns over something being found on eucalyptus tree leaves in the area. They're called lerps, and some people are worried they could create an increased fire risk. CBS 8's Steve Price is working for you, finding out what you should know.
You'll find it on a lot of eucalyptus trees here in Scripps Ranch. What is it? And if a tree has it, is it more likely to burn during a fire? We're working for you to get answers.
It's called lerp, and it's produced by the larvae of psyllid bugs as a protective cover. Lerp by itself isn't a problem, but the small insects that create it are a different story. They suck plant juices that can cause leaves to die prematurely and expose the tree itself to other diseases.
We're standing right where the fire came through the first time.
Bob Ilko was living in Scripps Ranch when the Cedar Fire roared through here in 2003, so he understands the concern now from neighbors who remember the lerp-infested eucalyptus trees back then going up in flames.
The lerp does cause problems.
For one, it kills leaves that fall off the tree, land on the ground, and dry out, creating dangerous fuel.
The 2003 fire wasn't a canopy tree fire from tree to tree. It was so hot and quick, and the winds were blowing, that it was lighting the ground material on fire.
Working for you, we reached out to the city of San Diego to see if they're aware of the growing lerp problem out here and if they're planning to do anything about it. They sent us back a statement saying, in part, we will be dispatching our certified arborists from the urban forestry program to the location of concern to determine if the trees fall under city jurisdiction and if any tree maintenance is required. Bob, who is president of the Scripps Ranch Civic Association, fears this problem is too prevalent and too expensive for the city to aggressively go after.
I can yell till the cows come home, but to treat Tierra and Scripps Ranch and part of Rancho Bernardo and Tecolote Canyon, I mean, the city isn't going to treat the LERP. It just isn't.
So Bob's advice, do what you can do to protect your property and make it easier for firefighters to save your home. Create defensible space, trim trees away from your roof, and clean up dead debris on the ground. In Scripps Ranch, Steve Price, CBS 8.
With summer heat hitting San Diego, more people have been using their AC. Now, a new study based on data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says it costs more to run home air conditioning in San Diego than any other city in the country. CBS 8's Rocio de la Fe is working for you to find out how you can cut down on costs, even with the high rates we already pay.
The recent study reveals that San Diego is the city with the highest AC running cost in the U.S. One technician I spoke to says the findings are not surprising.
San Diego's cost of living is high.
A new study reveals San Diegans are facing the highest air conditioning bills. The study conducted by Casinos.win shows San Diegans would have to pay over $1,100 if they were to have their central AC units running for 24 hours over 30 days. That's nearly 280% of the U.S. average.
It shouldn't be that way, but if we're not taking care of our systems, they cannot cool our houses efficiently.
The group took data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics on price per kilowatt from last month and multiplied it by 24 hours to find the AC running cost. Hawaii came in second place, followed by San Francisco, Boston, and Riverside. Lead technician at Progressive Heating and Air, Steve Wilmore, says it's all about how you manage your unit.
A lot of people are trying to, save money by not running their system. Now, they let their system get to about 85 degrees and they get home and go, oh my God, it's hot. So they set it down to 70 thinking that we're gonna cool the house. So a lot of times I feel like it's user error, living in San Diego and not taking care of our systems.
The findings of the research comes at a time when electricity rates for SCG&E customers are the most expensive in the country. Wilmore says to ensure AC units are working efficiently, make sure you're setting your temperature to the right degree.
You don't have to set it very low to get cool. It's gonna do the same supply temp, which is the cooling temperature of your home, if you put it at 50 or 75. You want to keep your house at a comfortable rate.
To keep the heat out of your home, make sure to seal all gaps where air can get through and keep the windows closed and covered. Wilmore says the recent heat in our region is keeping technicians like him busy this summer. Rocio de la Fe, CBS 8.
We have good news from a landlord in Encanto caught in a tough situation with her tenants. That landlord came to us saying she was having trouble evicting tenants who have not paid rent for 10 months. CBS 8's David Goffredson responded, and shortly after we aired our report, those tenants moved out.
They had burned the cabinets down making something, and so I had to get all the cabinets replaced.
The repairs are underway at Barbara Gunner's rental home on 61st Street in Encanto. She says the previous tenants did a pretty good job of tearing it up.
Blinds got to be put in, all the blinds were torn down. The commode in the bathroom, everything had to be thrown away in the bathroom, so that had to be completely remodeled.
Barbara tried for months to evict the people living here who had no written lease, but stayed on after her long-term tenant died. A judge ruled the tenants had a verbal lease because Barbara had accepted rent payments before, she says, they stopped paying rent altogether.
They'd been here a year and a half and didn't pay rent for 10 months. Grand total of $30,000.
Last month, CBS 8 aired a report on the rental property and spoke to two of the people living there.
Whether you're a squatter or not, squatters still have rights.
A couple weeks later, Barbara says, the approximately 6 people who were living in the house without paying rent suddenly moved out.
I think they moved out because of the story that you aired.
Barbara says she has spent about $15,000 repairing the damage to the house, which she has owned for decades.
So with Channel 8 and the help and the grace of God, I've almost gotten through it. My main lesson is not to stop being kind to people, but to go ahead and do it legally with the paperwork, signing the lease, getting information on, try to find out where they were before and what their status were when they left the places that they were before.
So Barbara still has some work to do, but she's well on her way to getting this house restored and repaired. She's hoping to rent it out soon for about $3,000 a month. In Encanto, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Remember, CBS 8 is working for you. If there's something you'd like us to look into, email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.